Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy, Mr. Cheap Sense here, and sorry about the movement of the phone. I was trying to find somewhere to prop it up, but um, there is literally nowhere right now to prop it up. So I got it sitting in one of these drawers that's for the desk. All right, so I've told this, well, not necessarily what I did, but I have told people before, what I've been through in my past as far as like a past relationship I had and how bad it was. And, I was at the point where I really didn't even want to live anymore. And I know this is like a super beta male thing that I had going on at the time. Uh, this chick really had my heart, and I would give almost anything for this chick. And she basically uh, gave me her ass to kiss. She took me for granted. She knew that anytime she would call, I would come running with no problem. But she made it like it was a joke. She had some of her little, young friends sitting around the table and be like, "Hey, watch. I call or text him to do something for me or bring me some food or something. Watch how fast he come around the corner." And I think it was like a '93 Chevy Caprice, a bubble Chevy, and it was a little. It didn't have like duals on it, but it had a pipe on it that was kind of loud, and you could hear me coming up the road. And they would laugh when they heard me coming up the road. So, um, that's over and done with. But I mentioned earlier that I was a two-time convicted felon, and that says Bama boy. If you didn't know what it said, I'm from Alabama. I represent Roll Tide all day. So, 1996, I was fresh out of high school, and I was working. I want to say at the time I was just working one job. I was working at Wendy's, and I was doing Popeyes at the same time. But it got too hectic because when I left Wendy's, I had to leave Wendy's and go straight to Popeyes. So I had to change in the bathroom. So I ended up quitting Popeyes and just stayed with Wendy's because, I was there the longest. I was making money. I was good at it. I was the best they had on everything. Grill, cleaning. I kept things organized, neat. I was quick on the grill and everything. So um, they were trying to give me a promotion. And I was young and stupid, and I didn't know much about what was going on in the real world as far as like bills and stuff. I had accumulated some hospital bills, and I was, being hounded by them. And I didn't know that, if you don't pay the bills at the time, it wasn't a big deal. It's just going your credit, or they would garnish your check or something like that. But I was stressing about it, and so I decided to. Um, they sent me to the bank a few times to, make the deposit drops, and I devised this plan that I was gonna pretend like I got robbed and take the bank bag. Well, one day popped up. They sent me to the bank, and Wendy's is literally like, let's see, maybe a little longer than a football field's length away from Wendy's. So I went to Wendy's. Publix parking lot. That Publix had a bank inside where you could make deposits at the time. And instead of me going inside, I got out the vehicle, which was dumb. Um, got back in the vehicle, and I drove to an undisclosed location, and I took the bank bag and I hid it in the woods. I came back. I had tore my shirt. I had, put dirt all over me, and you know, I came back to Wendy's and I made it seem like I had just got robbed, and I faked like I got grabbed and robbed. So uh, the police came, they questioned me, and they took me downtown, and You know, they started throwing these numbers at me about how much time I could get because they didn't believe my story. And eventually I caved in and told them where it was. So that literally was my first felony charge. Wouldn't be my last. So I'm on probation. I had to pay this big ass $10,000 fine. I had to do community service and all this other dumb shit. And I started working at Kmart, which was right across from Wendy's in the mall. And I was doing overnight stock. And I guess I had got this bright idea that I was going to break into the jury case and steal a few pieces of jewelry and, you know, some chains or whatever. And yes, they were real. Kmart at the time did sell real jewelry. They had the fake stuff on these little cases on the counter where anybody could just walk up and grab one or whatever. But inside the glass case where they kept things locked, they had real rings, bracelets, necklaces, all kinds of stuff. So, you know how they say third time's the charm? That's what happened. First 2 times I got away with it. And I think the second time they noticed that some things were missing and they set the camera right on the jewelry case this time. And lo and behold, I went back again. They got me on camera, and that's where I got my second felony charge from. For those people who say that it's hard to find a job whenever you're a convicted felon, in some cases, in some instances, yes, they are. But for me, it was never the case because everybody knew me. They knew I was a hard worker. They knew I just made some mistakes. I did end up doing some time in boot camp. I think it was 90 to 120. Plus, I got in trouble in boot camp, so I had to do extra days. So the day I was supposed to get out, I had to stay an extra week longer. 2 felony charges. I got, one was theft by deception, theft by taking, and I can't remember what the other one for Kmart was, but yeah, I didn't let it get me down. I didn't let it stop me. I paid my fines. I did all my time. I did community service. I did whatever they asked me to do. And literally, besides maybe a speeding ticket or 2, I've never been in trouble anymore. I didn't want any part of going to prison. Boot camp was as close to prison as I wanted to be. And it was a learning experience. Like I said, I hear people all the time say that it's hard to get a job being a felon. I'm a living testament to that's bullshit in most cases, because I've been, even after those 2 charges, I have been an assistant manager, in which I was referred to that position at the movie theater by my general manager from the video game store I used to work at. It used to be Rhino Video Games, where we sold Nintendos and PlayStations and stuff like that. He actually saw something in me, and he referred me to the general manager of the movie theater, which gave me an assistant manager's position. Because my general manager, that store was closing, Rhino Video Games. He could have easily took that position, but he took a lesser position at the movie theater and let me have the assistant manager's position. Chuck Schuler was his name. And Keith Smalls was the manager or the general manager of the movie theater. I'll never forget. 2 great people that looked out for me, that gave me a chance, even when a lot of other people didn't really want to. God puts people in your life for a reason. And he sent me to Chuck at the video game store when I was fresh out of boot camp. And Chuck gave me a job. And then Chuck referred me to somebody else who gave me an even better job. Granted, I didn't end up staying at the movie theater. The general manager was stealing the whole time, even before I got there. He was stealing money and making it seem like, you know, whatever. And I guess when the people came to do the audit, it actually happened on the night I was there by myself. The guy came in, did the audit, and he asked me where this money was. The safe is short so many amount of dollars. I said, I don't know. I'm fresh. I don't know what you know what I'm saying, what's going on. And they fired Keith. And then I think like a couple of nights later, they fired me and this other assistant named Julie. And I felt so bad for her because she had nothing to do with that. I really didn't care. I don't remember what I did after that, but I know some years later, I've had like odd jobs in between that. Like I worked at some fast food restaurants. I've worked at Walmart doing stock. I worked at the Brunswick News, which was a shitty job. I made $5.15 an hour. That was no money whatsoever. Where else did I go? I started as a prep cook in the dish room at the Emerald Princess Casino boat here in Brunswick, Georgia. And I ended up becoming the head cook, taking the position from another guy. I call him Sibo. Very good dude. I like him. He's pretty cool. We still cool to this day. But I ended up taking this job from him as head cook. And then the manager that was there, he was from like the Caribbean or the Virgin Islands or something. Cool dude. He was leaving, going to venture into something else. And he left me as the new manager. And I was that manager, I want to say about 2 years. And then, I came to the end of that venture. Then I started working at, right after that, I started working at, because they hired some other guy to come in. I actually was temporary until they found somebody else. But I was a manager of the Emerald Princess Casino cruise ship's kitchen. And then after I left there, I went to King and Prince Seafood, which is where I told you guys earlier how I chopped off the top of my finger. I was there for like 5 years and some change. I got terminated from there because this was my fault. I was fixing a machine and I stuck my hand in the machine trying to clean breader out, and I stuck my hand in too far and it actually pulled the top of my finger off, bone and all. I got terminated from that job for that incident. And then I started working at the hospital, which is where I've been the past 6 years. And I just recently, maybe almost a year now, been working here at this plant, Georgia Pacific. It's a paper mill. So I am a testament that felons can get decent jobs. You just have to be on the straight and narrow. You cannot take that same mentality you had when you were younger or when you were in prison or wherever you were at and apply it back into the real world. You have to let go of that old stuff, man. I ain't gonna lie, I was rough. I was hard out there. I was always in fights. I was stealing from people. I was breaking in cars. I was breaking in houses. Like, I was doing all kinds of dumb shit that, a lot of people didn't even know that I was into. A lot of stuff I never got caught for. But karma is a bitch, and I paid for a lot of it. And it actually did catch up with me sooner or later. I've had things even stolen from me, and I had to laugh it off like bruh, like that's karma. Something I did in my past is just coming back at me, and that's all I can say about it. I just shrug it off and keep moving. But yeah, man, I'm a living testament to the fact that I'm a 2-time convicted felon. And I've had so many great jobs. I haven't had one of those jobs where I made like buku bucks. But I have been, pretty content with some of the jobs I've had. A lot of them I didn't think I would ever end up in. I didn't see myself really as a business type dude or managerial type dude. But I did it. And some of you guys can too. And I know there's probably some felons that are subscribers to my channel. I'm not asking you guys to point yourselves out, but just know that it's not the end of the world just because you get in trouble and you make a mistake or two. Just learn from it, grow from it, and push forward. I was talking to a subscriber earlier today, and he basically was telling me that The reason why he didn't buy a fragrance from me that we talked about was that because he lost his job and he was embarrassed. And I told him that you have no reason to be embarrassed when it comes to life. Life happens. Shutdowns happen. People get terminated. People get laid off all the time. No matter what the reason, life happens. You have no reason to put your head down and be in disgust or ashamed of anything. Shit happens. Like right now, I can walk into this place tomorrow and my badge not work to let me come through the gate, and they can fire me right then. I have nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about. Keep your head up high. Keep pushing forward. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Trust me. I'm a living testament to that. I may not be where I want to be in life. I'm not financially stable. I'm not one of those guys who rides around in a fancy car. I'm not in a big elaborate house with all these different rooms. I don't have a lot of females chasing and following behind me all the time. I don't have any of that. And nor do I need it. As long as my kids are happy and I'm healthy, my kids are healthy and safe, that's all I care about. I don't care about nothing else. But you best believe I'm going to make a way for my kids if they hungry, if they need, clothing, if they need shelter, whatever. I'm going to make a way. Whatever the case may be. But just don't let stuff like that get you down and get in a rut and all that negative thinking. People got to get away from negative thinking. Whenever you sit around and think nobody wants to give you a job because of yada, 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 you're speaking that into existence. Speak positivity into existence. Be positive. Somebody's going to give you a job. Yes, somebody's going to give me a job. I'm going to keep filling out these applications. I'm going to keep calling these numbers. I'm going to keep doing this and keep doing that. And sooner or later, somebody will open a door. You knock long enough, somebody will answer. Trust me. It will happen. It can happen. I can attest to that. I've had so many jobs since 1996. It's 2019 now? I've had so many great jobs. I've met so many great people. And I've done a lot of things I thought I would never be able to do because of it. Even when I was doing community service at the Salvation Army, the people in there was like speaking praise upon me. Like people would drop off stuff like old radios and speakers and stuff, and I would patch together systems just so they can make sales. I can put speakers together. I can fix stuff. I can do this and do that. And them people was loving me. It got to a point where I didn't even have to come in. I could come in, get them my paper. They would sign my paper 8 hours and send me back to the house. Hey, you ain't got to work today. You can go ahead and go home. That's how good I had it. A lot of my community service, I didn't even do the full day. I would come in, work a few hours, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes 2 hours. They would let me go home. Some days I could come in and they sign the paper and send me right back out the door. So you don't burn bridges. You always find bridges to walk across, and you keep those bridges whole. Don't stab people in the back. Don't talk bad about them. Don't, when they give you a job, get the big head and think that you know it all. Be humble. Be humble. Because they didn't have to give you a job. They could have let you stay on the outside of the door knocking. So that's really all I want to say. Somebody asked me earlier. They saw that I said I was a 2-time convicted felon, and they wanted to know more about Mr. Cheap Scent. So there's the story of me being a 2-time convicted felon. Anything else you guys want to ask me about myself or you want to know, just leave a comment down below. I don't mind telling you guys my story. A lot of people will root against it, saying that I shouldn't put my personal business out there. But, I mean, if I can help somebody or shine some light on somebody's life, give them some insight on something, I'm more than willing to do it. I'll put myself out there to better somebody else. you know, theft and stealing and killing and all that is, I mean, people have their things that they do. They go through mental stages and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not mental in the least bit. I just made some bad choices along the way. I took paths that I shouldn't have even stepped foot on. I should have stayed on a different path. But, you know, you live and you learn. And that's the same thing I'm trying to instill in my son. I see the same traits I had when I was around his age, doing the same dumb shit that he do. And it's funny how your kids do some of the same shit that you did when you were their age, and they act like they invented this or it's the first time you ever seen this. And I keep telling my son, like, boy, the same shit you was doing, I was doing it, but I did it better. Like, you guys do it and you get caught. I didn't get caught when I was doing the stuff that, besides the felonies, but all the other little stuff that you lie about and you sneak around and do. Like, my son admitted to me that he smoked weed. Of course, I don't want my son smoking weed, but I'm not finna be all over him 24/7. Like, I gotta work. I got a life. And if you want to be dumb enough to be out there smoking weed and you get caught, that's on you. I gave you the blueprint. I'm telling you what not to do. That certain things aren't all what they are cracked up to be. Weed is not bad. I understand that. I smoked it when I was younger. That's why I don't get mad when he tell me stuff like that. But you don't have to steal from your mama and you don't have to steal from your sister in order to support your habit. If you got a habit, you need to get it on your own. I'm not finna give you money so you can be running around going and buy weed and all this kind of stupid stuff. Get you a lawnmower. You live in an area where there's a lot of lawns to cut. Charge people $5, $10, $15 or whatever, and cut a couple of yards, and you'll have money to do what you want to do. But you don't have to steal from your own family. You steal from your grandparents. You steal from your aunts and uncles and your sister. My oldest daughter started working at McDonald's not too long ago. And she tried to be nice to her brother and let him use the card and get food and, you know, call for Uber and stuff like that. And he gets the PIN number and he go crazy with her money and spend up all her money. Now she ain't got nothing for herself. That's not fair. You got to get out there and grind. I got out there and grinded and got money for myself. I didn't ask nobody for nothing, and still to this day I don't ask nobody for nothing. So that's pretty much the story of my 2 felony charges, which happened back to back. I got in trouble for the Wendy's thing first, and it might have been like maybe a month later, I got in trouble for the Kmart thing. And yeah, I've been pretty much on the straight and narrow ever since, man. So God has really blessed me. I had a lot of positive people in my life along the way. I learned a lot on my own and from watching other people, and here I am. I mean, like I said, I'm not in the best position in the world where I would like to be, but, you know, I'm not homeless anymore. I have 2 vehicles again like I had before. I'm healthy. I'm a little bit heavier than I used to be, but I'm still in good spirits. And it is what it is, guys. But I'm out of here, man. I gotta get ready to clock out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Make sure y'all let other people know. I see the subscriber count is going up. If I can get to 1,000, we can start this live streaming again and have some more fun. Until then, guys, peace.